All right, absolutely massive news here is the Blue Jays have traded for Oakland A's third baseman Matt Chapman. A lot to dissect here, so let's talk about it. I'm Adam Mack with the walk-off. Now, obviously, Blue Jays fans, we have a history of having to settle for the B-tier guys when it comes to trades and free agency. And then last year, after getting George Springer and how Semien and Robbie panned out, it felt like last year we got all the A-list guys, so our expectations for this Blue Jays team really kind of went sky high. So it's pretty easy to feel like Matt Chapman is settling as a third base solution. We've been speculating on Jose Ramirez coming to the team basically since last summer. And then for the past week or so, we've really felt like we were one of the front runners for Freddie Freeman. So Matt Chapman, not on too many people's radars, obviously except for Shapiro Atkins, can feel like settling, but it's absolutely not. Matt Chapman is a massive upgrade for this team, and he was basically free. So let's talk about that. First of all, this is such a Shapiro Atkins move. Like as I said earlier, I don't think he was realistically on too many people's radar. He's not Freddie Freeman. He's not Jose Ramirez. But we also didn't commit $150 million to a superstar going into his age 33 season. So there's that. We also didn't move any of our top prospects. Now, all due respect to Kevin Smith, Gunnar Hoagland, and of course friends of the show Zach Logue and Kirby Sneed, we wish you all the best. But I don't think, from a fan perspective anyways, and clearly not from the front office perspective, none of those four guys were considered untouchable by any means. What we did do is we did add probably the best defensive third baseman in the league with 40 home run potential too. While doing that, we retained Jordan Groshans, we retained Nate Pearson, we retained Orelvis Martinez, we retained Gabriel Moreno. By the way, we also retained Alejandro Kirk and Lourdes Gurriel, who very well, at least one of those two, probably would have been included in the purchase price for a Jose Ramirez. Remember all the prospect capital we spent on Jose Barrios last summer, sending Austin Martin and Simeon Woods Richardson in that deal. So I think when you put all that in perspective and you look at the fact that we got a perennial gold glover in Matt Chapman, who I honestly think 40 home runs this year in Toronto is not out of the question. I think it's more likely than not, in fact, and we'll get into that in a second as we compare his stats with Marcus Semien. But I think let's just put all that in perspective. Basically free, moving Kevin Smith to get him and a couple other prospects. I'm excited about Matt Chapman. I wasn't sure how I felt when I first woke up and read the news, but here we are, and I think this is a massive steal of a trade, and I think we're going to look back at this very fondly as Blue Jays fans come the end of the season. So let's compare Chapman to Marcus Semien, okay, because everybody wants to look at that 2021 season for Matt Chapman, and the glaring issue is a .210 batting average in 2021 last year. I think it was a blip on the radar. I think it was just a down year. He still won a Gold Glove. Playing in an Oakland team who I think emotionally was devastated. I think the record was better than the clubhouse atmosphere would have you believe. But I mean, they just lost Marcus Semien. It was clear that the ownership group had no interest in spending money on anybody there. So despite the winning record, Oakland was a sinking ship. So you can't really... I mean, you can. They should be professionals, right? But the .210 average, I'm more inclined to believe it's just a blip on the radar. If we look back at the 2018-2019 seasons from Matt Chapman, a .278 average in 2018 with a Gold Glove, and he got some MVP votes that year. 2019, very similar, had a .249 average, Gold Glove again, and some more MVP votes. So what I want to draw your attention to here, though, is Marcus Semien's last couple years before coming over to Toronto. So 2018, .255 average with 15 home runs. 2019, .285 average with 33 home runs. And then his final season in Oakland, he hit just .223 and 7 home runs. Now, 7 home runs wasn't a 60-game season, so let's not look too close at that. The point is, average was down his final season in Oakland. Just the change of scenery did him good. As soon as he came to Toronto last year, his batting average way back up to 265. Home runs went from 33 in his last full season in Oakland to 45 into Toronto. So that's what I want to draw your comparisons here to, is if we look at 2019, Marcus Semien hit 33 home runs. 2019, Matt Chapman actually hit 36 home runs. So more power in the bat out of Matt Chapman. And if we go back the year before, just so we can't write it off as a one-year occurrence, in 2018, Marcus Semien hit 15 home runs, while Matt Chapman out-hit him again with 24 home runs. So Matt Chapman does have more power in the bat than Marcus Semien. And with Marcus Semien hitting 45 in Toronto last year, case in point, I think that's what we can kind of expect out of Matt Chapman this year. I think Matt Chapman's going to see a lot of good pitches in Rogers Center. Rogers Center is a much more hitter-friendly ballpark than Oakland, where baseballs go to die. So yeah, I think we see a bounce back in the average for Matt Chapman. I think he's going to be another Gold Glove winner once again, might even get some MVP votes. And I think that home run tally is going to be, I think he's going to be pushing Vladdy. I don't think he'll keep up, but I do think that 40-plus home runs for Matt Chapman is realistic. Never mind, not out of the picture. I think it's more likely than not Matt Chapman hits 40 home runs. So if you hear articles or you're watching videos and people are saying he's a 30 home run guy, no. He's a 40 home run guy. We always talk about how Colorado gets the home run bump because balls carry better in the high altitude there. Well, consider it the exact opposite in the big ballpark in Oakland there with the massive foul territory. So his numbers are going to go sky high. It's going to be a lot of fun to watch. This batting order is just absurd. I could run down the list, but you guys all know who we have on the team. This team is really scary now. So let's just have a quick look now at the contract-wise. So remember, one of the appeals of Jose Ramirez was that it was a team-friendly contract, right? 2 years left on his deal. He's getting 12 this year and 14 the next. For a superstar, I mean, that's, again, basically free, right? Well, if we look at Matt Chapman, who's not under, it's not a contract, but he is in his arbitration years, and he does have 2 years left. So very comparable that way, as they're both going to be free agents in 2024. They're both 29 years old this year, so that's the same. But whereas Jose Ramirez is getting $12 million this year and 14 the next, we're only paying Chapman $9.5 million this year, and likely to get around 15 next year through arbitration. So the money is cheaper for Jose Ramirez, or for Matt Chapman. So you can't argue that if we were excited about a team-friendly deal with Jose Ramirez, Matt Chapman is even better. Big downside to Chapman that I could see is it doesn't solve our problem of a lefty bat. I'd still rather this than break the team and our future spending abilities just for the pure fact of getting a lefty bat. Again, Freddie Freeman would have been a nice name, but it was also more complications than it solved. Obviously, at first base, he would have had to move Vladdy over to third. I mean, a lot of fans are confident that he could handle it, but I think this is just so much simpler and so much better, a lot safer. Lastly, I did just want to rub some salt in the Yankees direction for a little bit here, and then we'll wrap it up. But the Yankees' big move this offseason was to trade for Josh Donaldson. Okay, let's remember that. He's 36 years old this year, and the Yankees owe him $50 million over the next 3 years. It's $23 million this year, $21 million next, and then $6 million in his final season. Whereas Chapman, just 29 years old, getting $9 million this year and probably 15 or so next. Josh Donaldson still has power, don't get me wrong, but Matt Chapman, in his prime, Gold Glove guy, year after year, I would say more power in Chapman's bat right now than Josh Donaldson has at this point in his career. So while the Yankees improved their team with the trade for Josh Donaldson, we just leapfrogged them by bounds. So Matt Chapman makes Josh Donaldson look very pedestrian in comparison. I think any excitement that Yankees fans might have had about Josh Donaldson, if they are realistic at all, they have to realize that, holy shit, Matt Chapman to the AL East is massive. So, all right, that's it for me today, Blue Jays fans. We do this sort of stuff all the time here on the Walk-Off. So if you like this video and you haven't subscribed yet, please be sure to. I hate saying all that stuff, but it's part of the job. So I'm Adam Mack. We'll be back. I'll be joined by my co-host Scott Belford on Friday, and we're going to go into this even more and hopefully some more news then. Until then, everybody enjoy this off season, and we'll see you in April.